We're at the Los Angeles Asian Pacific Film Festival. I'm with the movie Mixed Match.
I am Jeff Chiba Stearns. I'm the director of Mixed Match and the producer.
Okay, and also...
My name is Athena Asklipiadis. I am the associate producer and one of the subjects of the film.
Okay, so tell me about the film.
Sure. So Mixed Match is a film that looks at the critical need to find more bone marrow and stem cell donors for people who identify as mixed race. So patients who have leukemia or a blood disease who are looking for a bone marrow match. There's more of a challenge that they face when trying to find a match for transplantation. And so what the film does is we follow patients who are searching for a perfect match.
Yeah, and from the film, it feels like it's the proverbial needle in the haystack. Just finding that match for mixed race.
Yeah, as we mix and we blend, our genetics are getting more complex. And when you're trying to match someone, a lot of times your match is going to come from someone from the same sort of ancestry as you or your same ethnicity. And so when you're blended and mixed, you have many different ancestries and ethnicities within you. And so when you're trying to match that, it can get a lot more complex because obviously your genetics have become more complex. And when you're trying to find a genetic twin in the world, it can often be challenging to find that match. So yeah, it just depends on the odds. But the obvious solution is just to sign more people up to the bone marrow registry or donate cord blood of your baby when they're born. And there's solutions that we found in the film.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more complicated than just blood types and.
Oh, way more complicated. You're trying to match an immune system. So when you're transplanting an immune system, you're basically giving a whole new system to someone else internally. And so your DNA is going to change when you have a transplant.
So how did the project start? Where?
Sure, I'll pass this over to Athena.
Okay.
I started a volunteer nonprofit organization called Mixed Marrow after I had met a local mixed race Japanese mixed patient, Chrissy Kobata, because I really wasn't aware of race playing a role in matching and the kind of low percentage or the low odds of mixed race people specifically being so underrepresented in the registry. And so it really compelled me to want to help her. And also kind of, I guess, I've always searched for my own identity through the years being mixed race Japanese myself. So I had been involved in maybe more social kind of aspects of my Hapa identity or mixed race identity. But after meeting Chrissy, I realized that there was a serious side to this and that it could impact, medicine or health in that way.
Yeah, I mean, cancer is one of those things that it's almost trite to say, everyone's gonna, so many people out of so many people are gonna be in contact with someone, but cancer seems to be the one that everybody knows somebody and somebody close that has struggled with that. Mm-hmm. So in this case, so you basically your heart kind of went out to that.
Yes. I mean, I had dealt with a recent loss of my aunt prior to meeting Chrissy. She had lymphoma. My aunt Esther, she was sick for very little time before she passed away. But seeing that firsthand suffering, that firsthand experience of losing somebody, that is where kind of, I guess, I drew that feeling and knowing what her family was going through and knowing that this type of cancer, or she actually has a blood disease, this type of blood disease or diseases like leukemia, the difference between that and other cancers or other diseases is that there are cures out there, but you have to register those people to be that answer because most of them have gone through already chemo and radiation and this is kind of their last hope. Mm-hmm. So that's in a way the beauty of the cure is that it does come from the selflessness of a stranger.
Okay, now let's speak about filmmaking. How did you kind of attack the subject? What was the kind of the game plan you guys were looking into in creating this feature?
So I guess first off was that I wanted to find a documentarian or a filmmaker that I felt confident would want to take this subject matter on, and also have a passion for, I guess, the mixed identity. And so I knew of Jeff Chiba Stearns' work already doing a film about his mixed Japanese ancestry. So I kind of pitched it to him via Facebook. And then from there, he took it on and I guess went with it in both animation and documentary style filmmaking. So he could maybe talk a little bit more about his vision.
Yeah, I think, it was a topic that I was aware of. I was asked to join the registry in 2007 when there was another mixed fellow. He was mixed Chinese, but someone said, you might be his match. You should join the Canadian registry. And, I didn't really know enough about it. I never ended up signing up, right? I just didn't know how to do it. I was too busy. And then I realized that after Athena had contacted me, there was a critical need for this. There were many patients searching, and that there were many news stories about this. And there was a reason why this was sort of being brought up in the media. And I realized I do a lot of personal filmmaking about my own mixed identity because I identify as being mixed Asian. I'm Japanese, English, Scottish, Russian, German. And so I thought, this is a great way to approach another topic, but a little bit more critically because you're looking at now this as a medical level. How is being mixed something that can actually affect you if you have a disease or you have a rarity, of genetics. And so I think what we did is we used a lot of what Athena had already established with her patients that she worked with, because she raises a lot of awareness with what her cause to try and find matches and recruit people who are mixed to the registry. And so we were really lucky that Athena had already laid a lot of groundwork and trust with a lot of patients. So for us, it was just filming hours. I think we filmed 200 hours of footage over 6 years with all of these patients, trying to figure out, what are the best stories to tell that the audience will connect with. And so that was our approach, is sort of going across North America and getting all these stories captured.
Yeah. I mean, is that kind of maddening? That's the one thing about documentary filmmaking that I've found is, wow, that's a lot of footage to go through and trying to, again, find the needle in the haystack and pull the story that you think will have the most impact.
Oh, definitely. When you have 200 hours of footage and you have to bring it down to a 90-minute documentary, that's a gargantuan task. And, luckily I was very close to all the footage because I filmed most of it myself. And so I edited the movie, but it still took a year to edit the movie. But luckily, a lot of those stories that we couldn't tell, some of the patients we filmed with that we couldn't sort of put in the film, we were able to put them on our website, which is www.mixedmatchproject.com. People can go there and watch the other stories that we captured, as well as learn a bit more about the call to action that we're asking people to take, which is join a registry, donate cord blood, or just donate blood in general, because a lot of cancer patients or blood cancer patients need to take, blood transfusions, right? So we just sort of wanted to make a film that A, shed light on a topic not a lot of people knew about, but B, also had the ability to save lives. And I think that ability is really powerful when you can present that to people in a way that's educational, engaging, and inspiring.
So in terms of the message of the film, the first one is the more obvious one, is it tested or, get on those registries.
Yeah, and I think Athena can talk a bit about what people can do and what ages and stuff people would be able to join.
Yeah, so in the U.S., it's the age limits are 18 to 44, and if you're, basically healthy, there's just some health guidelines that you would want to make sure you adhere to, and you just do a cheek swab and an application, and after about maybe 5 to 10 minutes, you're registered in there, and they'll send it off for tissue typing, and if you are ever a match for somebody until you are 60 years of age, they would contact you. Some people never get called, some people get called and, have the opportunity to save a life. So it's really valuable, I think, as a person that has seen cancer in my own family, to realize there is this miracle out there, and it's so simple to join.
Yeah, and absolutely painless. So.
Yes.
Okay, and then you also talked about cord blood. That's something I've not heard of until your film. How exactly does that work?
Maybe Jeff could talk about it because he actually went through with doing that with his wife for his baby.
Was that in the film too?
Yeah. Okay. So, what's really interesting is that I had no idea that cord blood was a source of stem cells that they can use for transplantation. And normally it was only done to transplant children because you only get a small amount of cord blood out of a umbilical cord. But now in the film, we demonstrate that they can do double cord blood transplants for adults. Expanded cord bloods are now a clinical trial. And so in the film, it's because it took 6 years, a lot of time had passed. I joined the registry in the very beginning because I hadn't signed up yet. But near the end of the editing process, my wife and I were expecting our first child, and we had the opportunity to actually give birth at a hospital in Canada that actually could collect cord blood for the National Cord Blood Bank. And we thought, well, this is great, because my wife is also mixed Asian, I'm mixed, and our baby was going to be like a super hapa, because super mixed. And we went through the process of having our child, and we filmed it for the documentary. But then we also filmed how they extracted the cord blood out of this cord unit, and the cord blood is essentially medical waste. They'd throw this stuff out. 95% of the time they just chuck it out. So why not donate it if you have the ability to donate it, and it could be used to save someone's life down the road. So this is now a new source of stem cells that they can use for transplantation that actually has sometimes better outcomes than doing bone marrow.
Yeah, it seems like the I guess the field of eligibility kind of expands from there.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is that there's less restrictions on matching perfectly, I think, with cord blood, which actually allows more opportunity. So one of our patients in the film, Alex Tung, he's Chinese, but his cord blood donor, the wherever they got it from, identified as them being Hispanic. Or Latino, right? And so now he has Latino blood going through his body. So we kind of joke that he's a Hapa now, right? Because he's mixed. So I think the potential is great. There's still research to be done. Nothing is it's only the last 10 years it's really been done to transplant. So there's still time. But I think with any kind of advancement in cancer research, you're going to have great leaps and strides as we move forward. And so with this kind of film, we wanted to kind of maybe focus a little less on those leaps and strides and more just on the human condition of trying to find these matches and bring a topic like this to light. Because, we don't really want to date the film too much either.
So what does it mean for you to be here at the Los Angeles Asian Pacific Film Festival?
I love this festival. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here. I started off making films in 2000, and this is probably our fourth or fifth film at this festival. They've been very supportive of my work in the past. I had a film, One Big Happy Family, which Athena referenced earlier on, that basically became a film that won a few awards here. And so being back with Mixed Match is really important because we have the ability now to have a film that's a call to action, right? To engage the audience, to actually want to participate, to help save lives. And so I think Asian American film festivals in general are very important to help us bring this to the attention of the people we really need to focus on, especially for the demographic that we're asking to join registries, which are underrepresented. And we need more diversity. And so if we can have festivals that can target that and can actually bring in these audiences who identify as being mixed, Asian, or just Asian, then that's a great sort of audience for us to target.
Yeah, I mean, everybody should be doing it.
Of course, yeah.
Regardless of whether they're mixed or not.
And that's the thing, yeah.
Yeah, so people self-identify as one thing, but you never know what you actually, your ancestry is. So a lot of these things like 23andMe or Ancestry.com kind of let you explore that. But it's kind of interesting that a lot of maybe Caucasian people that may not have any ties to any minority groups or think that there's any in their lineage, they find out they are, or there's patients that have trouble because they have some diverse ancestry there. So really, I register anybody. My focus is to try to boost the numbers up of minorities.
Especially mixed.
Yeah, because the numbers are so low and they're not represented well. Caucasians make about 70% of the registry, but you never know. I always say, if it could be a lifesaver that I'm registering, so I don't turn anybody away regardless of race. So
yeah, and that haystack, there is a needle in there, and you could be that needle. So you talk about call to action. What is your call to action then?
I think the first step before even registering people is the education side. People have a lot of fear. Just hearing the word bone marrow alone is, I understand, very intimidating to people. You automatically think of pain or you think it's scary. But as we see in our film, we kind of hopefully dispel these myths and fears by showing a person going through the actual bone marrow donation process, what that looks like, what the recuperation looks like, because I think it's so important for people to know what they're getting into and know how, in a way, it is not as scary, but also too, 70% of the time, people are able to get stem cells from your arm, not your actual hip bone, your marrow. So that's another way of donation that is quite common now. And I think people just are not widely educated about it unless it impacts you personally. So we just want to spread awareness. And then, of course, it's registering people if they're willing.
And to even potentially save a life.
Yes, and I don't know any other film, that many films that you could say, by watching this film, a life could be saved by educating people. So.
Yeah, and we're very focused that whenever we have live screenings, we have bone marrow drives after each screening so that when people exit the audience, they can be like, oh, wow, I can sign up to the registry right there on the spot, and I can become a lifesaver.
Okay, so when is your screening, and then beyond the festival, how can we get in touch with Mixed
Sure. So I would say, our screening at the LA Asian Pacific Film Festival is Saturday, April 29th at 2 p.m. at Downtown Independent. We really encourage people to come out. We're going to have a bone marrow drive by A3M, which is Asians for Miracle Marrow Matches, and they're going to be there doing a cheek swabbing event. As well, beyond, we're going to continue focusing on live events because we have the ability to have bone marrow drives afterwards. So colleges, universities, community screenings. But we really encourage people to follow us on social media. So you can find us on Mixed Match Movie, which is our Twitter and Instagram, or you can follow us on Facebook at just Mixed Match. So Facebook.com/mixedmatch. That's the best way to follow to figure out, where we're going to screen next, but also what we're doing with our distribution strategy, which is we're hoping will be on digital platforms, VODs, cable, hopefully by early next year. So maybe even the fall of 2017. So best thing to do is just keep updated on our social media, and hopefully we'll let people know as we roll out.
Okay, well, thank you a lot. Congratulations, and good luck to you.
Super. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.